Welcome to our channel. Today, we're about to discover some pretty mind-blowing stuff. A tiny flying gadget with a camera can show you the world from a bird's perspective. But drones are more than just fancy toys. In this video, we'll reveal 20 sights caught on drones like you've never seen before. So make yourself comfortable, and let's get into it. Number 20. An invasion of privacy. Recently, the strangest drone footage emerged on social media. It left people scared for their privacy. This was no fancy camera, just an amateur one trying to figure out how it worked. Eventually, the drone traveled up a tall building. On the rooftop, there was a young woman who was soaking up the sun and minding her own business. But here's the thing, she wasn't wearing any clothes. High up there, she was sure that no one would see her. Then, suddenly, this nosy drone showed up and managed to have a peek at this naked woman. As soon as she spotted it buzzing around, she decided to bust the drone with whatever she had around her. At that time, she only had an old push broom. In the clip, you can feel the suspense as the broom-wielding woman charges toward the drone while it tries to escape its impending death. Eventually, the drone got away scot-free, and no harm was done. Clearly, the young lady wasn't thrilled when she realized she had an unexpected audience. But who would want to be in this situation? It's unpleasant to think that anyone could be peeking at you while you're enjoying your time, but that's what drones do. And exactly like this case, the next one didn't end very well for the intruder drone. Number 19. Double-barreled shotgun. Drones have their good sides, but they also stir up quite a lot of trouble when they're used without consent. Privacy is a big issue, and not many people want a drone looking into their private space without their permission. Homes are extremely private spaces that are not to be invaded. But that's exactly what happened to this guy with a big piece of land near London, England. He was living a quiet life, comfortable in his own private space. But then suddenly, a drone came in and started snooping around his property. He wasn't happy about it. In fact, he was pretty mad about the entire situation. So what does he do? He grabs onto his double-barreled shotgun, throws his hat on the ground, takes aim, and shoots the drone out of the sky. The camera on the drone keeps working even after it gets hit, and it captures its crash landing in the bushes. The camera probably never got to snoop around in other houses again, which probably was a well-deserved lesson. Bad things can happen if the wrong people use these cameras to spy on others. This Londoner had to take matters into his own hands to protect himself. But while this drone footage captured a man in distress, some drone footage is straight up scary, like the next one on this list. Number 18. A disturbing explosion. A drone flying over a compound in Libya managed to capture this alarming image. A car loaded with explosives rushed towards the compound, and within a few minutes it exploded. It went around a building and headed for a parking area where several people were present. When these people saw the vehicle rapidly coming towards them, they desperately tried to get to safety so that they wouldn't get caught up in the mess. Some managed to escape the terrible incident, but not all of them. An unknown number of them suffered severe consequences from the blast. It was later found out that the operation was led by the Islamic State fighters. They were using drones to effectively coordinate their attacks to make sure that they were getting the right target every time. They also used these for spying on their enemies. This footage was shared by ISIS themselves and featured an unidentified person bragging about the technology they can use to their advantage. This is a prime example of how evolving tactics can be used in disturbing ways if they get into the wrong hands. The advancement of technology brings both new opportunities and challenges, but security concerns are very real. However, this isn't the only time a fire-fueled disaster was captured on a drone camera. Number 17. A freeway accident. There was an extensive car pileup involving 8 vehicles on an LA freeway in April 2017. A drone rushed to the scene almost immediately to take a look, and that's when people realized what had happened. Things went wrong when a northbound semi-trailer crossed the center divider. This led to collisions with several southbound vehicles. Among these was another semi-trailer carrying a tanker filled with milk. The impact led to a massive explosion, which sent thick plumes of black smoke into the sky. This smoke was visible from miles away. A quick response from 75 firefighters across different departments helped bring the flames under control. Looking at the scale of the wreckage, it was surprising that only one person lost their life in the incident. 10 others sustained minor injuries and were taken to the hospital for treatment. The aftermath of the crash led to the closure of the highway for several hours. The northbound lanes were closed off for almost 8 hours as investigators and cleanup crews carried out their tasks to clear things up. Eventually, the crews helped restore the busy freeway after this terrible accident, and things were back to normal in no time. Number 16. The prey. Killer whales are known to be highly coordinated in their group activities, which is fascinating. They could be in the middle of feasting on a school of sardines or working to separate a young blue whale from its mother, but these creatures display teamwork and precision that has never been seen before. Of course, the human eye can't quite capture it, but a drone sure can. In this footage, a pod of hungry orcas are seen in action as they overpower a minke whale. Each member of this predator team has a very important role to play, almost like they're all on a football team. If even one of them fails to do things right, the entire plan will fall apart. As the footage continues, it becomes clear that this battle is coming to a close, with the prey being overwhelmed by the assault of the orcas. Soon, once their victory is secured, the killer whales are ready to feast. This footage isn't invading people's privacy, and it isn't capturing a disturbing disaster either. It simply shows the harmony in how killer whales exist, letting you in on something you will never get to witness in person. But there are other marvels surrounding sea creatures that were caught on camera, as you're just about to see. Number 15. Meeting with the great white shark. Isabelle Faber is a passionate traveler, and she loves to share her journeys with her social media followers. She keeps them updated on her adventures, but one of these adventures definitely stood out. While she was kite surfing along the Western Australia coastline, she had an unexpected encounter that left her shaken to her core. As she glided on the waves, a great white shark began to circle around her. A drone captured an image at that particular moment, where a looming dark silhouette could be seen lurking just a few feet away from Isabelle. At first, she brushed it off as her surfboard's shadow, but she knew that there was little truth to that delusion. She tried to steer clear of the mysterious presence, but the gentle breeze rendered her efforts useless. Meanwhile, her friends on the shore knew what was happening, and they anxiously signaled to her as they filmed the encounter. Thankfully, Isabelle's quick thinking and determination paid off. With some effort, she managed to make it back to the safety of dry land. Now, this was quite a close call, but her adventurous spirit was unaffected by what had happened. She continued to pursue her love for kite surfing, leaving fear behind her. But this isn't the only time someone escaped a shark attack. Number 14. The harmony of nature. Sean Scott is a talented photographer, and while working, he decided to use his drone to capture something insanely beautiful. He managed to capture the sight off the coast of Red Bluff Beach in Western Australia. Setting his sights on a feeding frenzy of bronze whaler sharks, he showed just how powerful these creatures can be. While his lens was fixed on the sharks, Scott noticed a group of carefree young children. They were drifting on bodyboards, but they had no idea about the danger right underneath them. In the image, you can see that the children are blissfully ignorant of what's happening. They don't notice anything even when one of the sharks gets closer to them. There was no sign of panic because they simply didn't know what was happening. But then, the sharks chose not to disturb them. They returned to their school of fish, resuming their dining without paying any attention to the young kids above. This was one of those very rare times when humans and deadly sea creatures share a moment in time. While the kids would have probably been devastatingly scared if they knew about the sharks, things worked out well in the end, and nobody was harmed. But sometimes nature isn't as forgiving as it was in this case. Number 13. Nature's revenge. In 2014, a drone went up into the sky, revealing a scene of absolute ruin in Arkansas. The quiet town had been struck by various tornadoes. They left massive amounts of destruction in their wake. The footage captured the aftermath, with a once-standing building reduced to a heap of rubble. Its remains were dumped beside Interstate 40. Rescue teams were seen scouring through the wreckage to look for survivors, and debris from the destruction could be found all across the highway. Among the wreckage, you could also find overturned cars, all of which became victims of the vicious tornadoes. These twisters, with winds that had never been seen before, took a heavy toll on the area. They claimed at least 16 lives throughout the state. Entire neighborhoods were destroyed, leaving behind only bare foundations as witnesses to the chaos. At that point, nobody knew how to get through the destruction. Roads were blocked, with downed power lines all over the place. This made the task of navigating the area even more complicated. The drone's lens captured the essence of what Mayflower's people were going through from a zoomed-out perspective. Number 12. A close call. When Joel Nankivel went on his drone adventure above Injidut Bay in Western Australia, he witnessed nature at its most dramatic state. His drone's eye spotted a paddleboarder with his feet dangling in the water. He was paddling near a school of salmon without a care in the world, but there was more to this scene. Suddenly, a shark came dangerously close to the paddleboarder, who had no idea what was going on. Nankivel knew he had to act fast to save this person from becoming the shark's next meal. Flying his drone closer, he tried to catch the paddleboarder's attention and warn him about the danger. But the paddleboarder didn't notice it, and with no apparent reaction to the drone's presence, he continued on his way. Then, what Joel was afraid of happened. A wave sent the paddleboarder directly into the shark's surrounding area, making him the easiest prey to snatch up. But nature can be unpredictable. The shark was either disinterested or just minding its own business, but it steered clear and swam away from the guy. The paddleboarder had no idea how close he had come to his own death. He continued his journey unaffected and unharmed. While Joel's drone couldn't catch the guy's attention, it still managed to capture this unbelievable moment with unbeatable clarity. But when it comes to clarity, some drone footage shows the kind of destruction you can't even imagine, as you're just about to see. Number 11. The massive wildfire. Disturbing natural disasters wreaked havoc in the Canadian province of British Columbia. The lives of thousands of residents were reshaped by the relentless wildfires that basically devoured a huge chunk of their area. Those who were forced to abandon their homes during the fires weren't exactly pleased when they returned. They were greeted by the spectacle of their houses and possessions reduced to ash and ruins. A drone, looking over the scorched earth, captured this footage of what was once a heavily tree-lined neighborhood. In the frame, you can clearly see just how destructive nature can get. It revealed burnt-out vehicles, lawns reduced to ash, and a landscape where very little remained untouched. Despite all efforts to reduce the damage caused by the fire, several thousand people found themselves evacuated. And that's not all. Thousands more were poised for evacuation should the fires have continued any longer. The region's continuous conditions of unbearable heat were clear in the footage. These were scenes you could never see with your naked eye, even if you were present in the area. But drones have managed to capture natural disasters happening at an even larger scale than this. Number 10. Hurricane Harvey. When Hurricane Harvey happened, it left a trail of absolute destruction across Barbados, Guyana, Belize, and the United States of America. This hurricane, the first of Category 3 or higher to happen since 2005, had winds that blew at an unforgiving intensity of 150 miles per hour. But it didn't sound real until drone images emerged from the flood-ravaged regions. These showed the extent of just how much was destroyed. Houston, once a bustling city, had turned into a watery wasteland. A drone flew above Port Aransas and captured a snapshot of one affected neighborhood. While not the hardest hit, you could see the homeowners in visible pain. Each one carried the burden of loss. By the end, at least 37 lives were lost in the United States alone. The economic losses that came about after Hurricane Harvey were estimated in tens of billions of dollars. Rebuilding these shattered communities is a long journey, one that will span several years. To this day, things have not gone back to how they used to be before this hurricane. But while drones can capture nature's wrath, they can also capture man-made disasters with the same intensity, as you'll see in the next drone footage. Number 9. A universal catastrophe. Just mentioning the word Auschwitz brings some of the most haunting images of mass suffering to your mind. This sinister chapter in history, where people were killed in the most brutal ways imaginable, ended almost 7 decades ago. But the memories of survivors bear witness to the scars of the past. Thousands of visitors still step onto the grounds of Auschwitz every year, as they observed the space firsthand and what had happened over there. Each building stands as a silent witness to the cruelties that took place. These same buildings once imprisoned up to 1,000 people at the same time. Auschwitz's gates were opened in 1940, and the moment of liberation came in 1945. During this time, it is estimated that over 1 million people died within its barbed wire confines. A haunting photo, captured from the sky by a drone, covers the 40-kilometer expanse of the area. Its lens shows a stark reminder of the past and captures the area in its own grim essence. This same image was appreciated in the 70th year since Auschwitz's liberation. It was used to remember the victims and recall the lessons history has taught us. But on this planet, dangers lurk further than you can imagine. Number 8. The crocodile's meal. Both sharks and killer whales have built their reputation as ruthless predators. But there's another creature lurking in the waters that is equally scary: the saltwater crocodile. These reptiles, the largest on Earth, are known to be apex predators. They're so deadly that they even prey on sharks. With lengths exceeding 20 feet and weighing more than 2,500 pounds, these crocodiles also target humans. This has led to numerous reported encounters every year. But here's the interesting part. A drone managed to capture an image off the coast of Baia, Papua New Guinea. It offers a glimpse into the life of a saltwater crocodile while it's in the process of securing a pig as its next meal. In the image, you can see a leash attached to the captured pig, hinting that it might have been someone's pet. This particular crocodile had a history of going into the village, snatching unsuspecting pets, and scaring the residents to death. Number 7. An orca's power. As we've recounted before, there have been countless tales of fatal encounters and gruesome injuries with sharks. Yet, even these oceanic creatures have one enemy they'd rather steer clear of: the killer whale, or orca. A captivating drone footage captured in 2016 offers a first-hand look at just how powerful orcas can be compared to sharks. In the waters off California's coast, a pod of killer whales was passing through. Their path was passing through that of a 7-gill shark. In the blink of an eye, an orca seized the shark. The shark was helpless and could only squirm for a fleeting moment before dying. Its lifeless body was soon handed over to 2 hungry orca calves who eagerly ate the carcass for their meal. This dramatic encounter reminds you just how cruel the ocean life can be, even for the creatures that call it their home. Number 6. A terrible collision. In May 2017, a devastating collision occurred between 2 semi-trailers and a car. A drone captured the aftermath that unfolded near Mount Isa in Queensland, Australia. The vehicles crashed when an eastbound car and a westbound gravel truck, pulling 3 carriages, collided head-on. At the same time, a cattle truck swerved to avert disaster, but ended up driving into the grass beside the highway. This led to a deadly fire in the area. Though firefighters managed to diminish the flames, it came at a cost. Several cattle had to be euthanized. But despite the wreckage, no human lives were lost. The driver of the truck had to be rushed to the hospital due to spinal injuries. Responding officers witnessed the nightmare with their own eyes, but others got to see it through the drone footage. From a zoomed-out perspective, you can clearly see the damage this crash caused. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Here's an image that was captured by a drone camera. This drone belonged to a man who was out on vacation. He was enjoying his time there, watching the sunset. But as soon as the sky began to turn orange, something very strange happened. A group gathered on the edge of the cliff. At first, they did nothing, but then they formed a queue, and one by one, they each jumped into the water. The others kept chanting words that the man couldn't understand in his language. They jumped into the water with unbelievable precision. It was almost like they did this every day. While this image exists as an iconic drone capture, nobody knows why these people recklessly jumped into the water. All of them survived the fall and eventually hiked up the mountain without any difficulties. But can you guess what they were doing? Could this be a cult practice? Or was it just a bunch of guys having fun together? Remember to comment down below and let us know what you think. Now, on to the next topic. Number 5. Erupting volcanoes. When you watched videos of volcanoes in the past, two things could happen. You either witnessed slow-moving lava moving down a slope, or the volcano erupted violently. In the latter case, the footage would be shot from a safe distance because volcanoes are severely unpredictable. What you might notice is that videos capturing the bubbling lava inside a volcano's cone are very less in number. This is because making a video from up close is a risky process. First, it's typically too hot for most cameras to handle. Secondly, it's too dangerous for humans to get that close to the volcano. The environment inside a volcano can reach temperatures high enough to ignite a human on fire, even if they don't come into direct contact with the lava. But technology has changed all that. Drones specially designed to withstand extreme heat now fly into volcanoes and capture footage. These drones allow operators to maintain a safe distance, so they probably won't catch fire. While the drones themselves don't always survive these trips to the inside of the volcanoes, the people controlling them remain safe. In 2021, Iceland used drones to take a click of the volcano from up close, and it worked wonderfully. Number 4. Bloody River. Nobody expects to see rivers of blood in reality. But David Mimlich was flying his DIY drone over Dallas, Texas in 2011 when things got super strange. During his lunch break, he captured a few snapshots of the Trinity River. While there's no video footage, what David saw was almost unbelievable. After coming back to his workplace and reviewing the images, Mimlich noticed a disturbingly dark red section of the river. At first, he dismissed the idea of blood, thinking it was impossible. But something still nagged at him, so he reached out to the National Response Center. To everyone's disbelief, their investigation confirmed that the river was indeed contaminated with pig's blood. This pollution stemmed from the Columbia Packing Company, which was a meat processing plant located upstream. It had been dumping vast quantities of pig blood directly into the river instead of following proper disposal methods. Ultimately, Columbia Packing Company faced a hefty $100,000 fine as punishment for their actions. The penalty might have been even more severe, but circumstances worked out in the company's favor. If you think this case is peculiar, wait till you hear about the next one. Number 3. A clown in the fields. Scarecrows are a common sight in cornfields, but have you ever seen a clown just standing there for no reason? Well, this drone camera captured exactly that. In the video, a young pilot was flying over a vast cornfield when something strikingly orange caught his eye. As he got nearer, he realized that this wasn't your typical bird-scaring scarecrow. It was a human figure with a clown mask and a vivid orange shirt. This unexpected encounter was enough to send shivers down his spine because nobody expects scarecrows to move. This one decided to defy that norm. The clown was taken aback by the drone's presence and abruptly sprang to life and ran away into the cornfield. The pilot was left behind, confused about what this character had been doing out there in the first place. As the clown desperately retreated into the woods, the pilot decided not to chase him. But when the pilot redirected the drone to his own location, he found out that he wasn't far from the spot where the clown had vanished. Many people think that this was a staged setup. Maybe both the clown and pilot were in on this secret. Even if it's a prank, the video succeeded in making you think twice about getting too cozy within a cornfield. Number 2. An escaped convict brought back. In 2002, a Chinese man named Song Jiang had been convicted of human trafficking. But he managed to escape from prison and essentially disappeared. For 17 long years, he remained under the radar until a tip from the drone cameras reached the police, suggesting he might be living in the mountains of Yunnan province. This wasn't far from his hometown. The local terrain was too dangerous for ground searches, so in September 2019, they deployed a drone over the area. This decision led to the discovery of the hiding place of this criminal figure. As the police went in on foot into the region, the situation grew even more dangerous. Jiang had been isolated from human contact for so long that he couldn't properly communicate with the officers. Jiang was arrested again right there. Inside the cave that he had been living in after his escape, authorities found a collection of sooty pans, layers of bedding, and signs that he had been cutting his own hair. It was also clear that Jiang had gone without bathing or washing his clothes for a long time. While Jiang was returned to prison, The unsettling truth remains that he eluded authorities for 17 years. He took shelter just beyond the boundaries of human civilization, eventually transforming into a partially nonverbal man during his time in hiding. In this unusual case, drones played a pivotal role, just like in the next case. Number 1. A cell phone tower. You've probably seen several cell phone towers before, but have you ever paid attention to them? Have you ever wondered how they install or maintain the stuff? Mostly, you see a tower from below. This drone image shows you what things look like from up there, and it's not pleasant. Often, someone boldly climbs the tower for maintenance purposes. Now, a standard cell phone tower usually stands at about 200 feet, which is quite high. But then there are those gigantic 1,500-foot broadcast towers. Someone with a lot of composure under pressure goes up the entire tower to work on the equipment. Usually no mechanical aid is used while climbing, making it extra dangerous. While these climbers do use some safety gear, much of the heavy-duty equipment can get quite heavy. In this drone footage, you can witness one of these climbs. Even if you're not afraid of heights, this is enough to make a grown man squirm. To put it into perspective, the free climb covers a distance of over a quarter of a mile one way. While it can be a very long way up, people still sign up for it. Most of the time it pays well, so it isn't an issue. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.